this computer. Hello, everybody. Once again, welcome back to our River Cruise Showcase. Next up, we've got somebody who many of you will know, of course. Joe Ellis is the State Sales Manager here for APT and the APT Travel Group. And not only do APT cruise the waterways of Europe, but also Africa, China, Egypt, Russia, Myanmar, and South America. But today, I think we're focusing really on Europe. And I'm going to hand over straight to our resident expert, Joe Ellis. Hey, Joe, how you doing?
I'm great, thanks, Barry. I'm rapt to actually be talking again about travel. It's quite exciting, and I'm just looking forward to the time when we can do these things in person rather than virtually. But this is the best option we have at the moment.
Over to you. Let's go.
Thanks so much. Well, absolutely thrilled to talk about my favourite way of travelling, which is river cruising. I've been with the APT Travel Group now for 21 years and absolutely love this style. I think that the feedback we get from our passengers is absolutely sensational. So I'm really excited to talk about the options that you have for 2022 in particular for fantastic Europe. There's a lot of questions as far as why APT, and I know there's so many different options out there for all our consumers. And I think the main difference is, first of all, I like to say we're an Australian-owned company, and in that way, we actually organise everything for the Australian guests. So why we organise our tours and our cruising and also our inclusions. So you'll go on board and find it very welcoming, very warm, and very comfortable to travel with an Australian company. The other things, of course, I mean, everyone expects a luxury fleet, and we've got some beautiful ships in Europe. But I think sometimes where we really shine is actually bringing the best of Europe to our guests. And that is usually, and these fantastic signature experiences that we have in Europe, places like Vienna, all the way through Europe, there are some amazing opportunities that we do. And we actually take you maybe to Andernach, to a beautiful castle, and you have this fantastic reception, or perhaps you go on a private steam train. So all these things which you'll remember for many years to come, and are beautiful highlights throughout your journey. We also like to give our passengers a lot of choice as well. So freedom of choice touring is something we've really pioneered, and it is wonderful. I really enjoy it. It's when you have maybe a half day and you can choose what you'd like to do. It's still included, but it's up to you what you'd really like to maybe go culinary style, or maybe relax and revive, or maybe more educational. So it's up to you, and you really make that holiday your own. So it does make a huge difference. The 2022 brochure is certainly available, and please contact our friends at Bicton Travel, who are specialists with APT, but also have all of the information for you for 2022. We know there's a lot of pent-up demand because people are so keen when the borders start to relax and people are free to travel again, to really start ticking off that bucket list. So we're really thrilled about having the 2022 brochure out. You've also got a lot of time to really consider our options as well, because for 2022, our SuperDeals expire on the 31st of May. So great time to start researching, speaking to the experts at Bicton, and really deciding what may be of interest for you for maybe 18 months' time, perhaps. There's a lot of choice in river cruising, and I know our first-time river cruisers usually do the Amsterdam to Budapest. It's 15 days, it's 3 rivers, 5 countries, and you unpack once. It's an amazing way to go. People often will return and actually do it again. They may do the reverse itinerary, and often will just say you cannot fault it. Absolutely trip of a lifetime. For clients who've already experienced that, we're also offering the Budapest to Bucharest option as well, to continue that journey on as well. If you're into history, I really like looking into France, and especially onto the Seine. Beautiful to actually sit with the sun setting in Paris, and actually be able to see the Eiffel Tower in the distance all lit up. It's just a beautiful experience. Also to go to the Normandy beaches, which is something I did about 25 years ago, and absolutely found fascinating with the D-Day landings and all the information there. Absolutely incredible experience. And of course, Monet's Gardens for the art lovers as well. So there's a lot to see in that beautiful part. And it's only a short cruise, 7 nights, so an 8-day. And of course, it can be combined with other elements as well of another larger trip. If you're a food lover, and I know we have a lot of food lovers who love to travel with us, actually doing the south of France is a really good option. And I know that many artists have also loved it as well. So Vincent van Gogh actually was in Lyon and Arles and absolutely found it incredible with a beautiful light. He left Paris and went into the smaller sort of provincial towns and painted about 300 paintings in a year because of the beautiful light and the more relaxed lifestyle there. Beautiful food, wonderful to experience France. And then, of course, going a little bit more to the Mediterranean style weather, fantastic Douro river cruising. Beautiful to do that 7-night cruise and really enjoy that. And you can combine that one with maybe some touring through Spain. But it's very, very pretty. The actual cliffs around are about 300 meters. So you end up with these terraced vineyards surrounding you going up these beautiful areas of Portugal. People are amazing history, and of course their seafaring dominance is really reflected as well when we tour through Lisbon and also to Porto. But and if you love port, you'll be very happy here as well. It's certainly a lot of experience with the tawny port and the vintage port and the port lovers and wineries as well. So if you'd rather see more wineries than churches, that could be the itinerary to look at. And then I can't leave out fantastic Russia, especially the history lovers. You'll be absolutely amazed by the history in this amazing destination from St. Petersburg to Moscow. From their point of view as well, from the Russians' point of view, what they went through in World War II, it's just fascinating. The incredible subways as well, which are like quite beautiful museums, and of course their ballet as well. So there's so much to see in Russia, and don't forget the vodka. There is so much to enjoy in all the way through Europe. There's a lot of choices, and it's certainly reflected within our brochure. We always talk about I guess living fully. And I think a big part of that is the fact that everything's taken care of for you. You don't have to think about what things cost. It's all included, whether it's your meals, your beverages, your tea and coffee, your bottled water for excursions when you walk out, your tipping, and also Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi can be quite expensive when you go onto the bigger ships, but it's complimentary. So you don't have to put your hand in your pocket for anything. We have clients come back and say, I've spent hardly anything for 2 weeks because everything's included. And that brings an ease and a comfort level as well. And just a focus totally on getting the very best out of a European holiday, which is just fantastic. And of course, the APT tour directors, they cannot wait to welcome you back to Europe. They've had a year off and they are very excited and waiting for the season to begin again so they can do what they love, and they love the Australian passengers. Obviously, at the moment, there's a lot of concern around what's going on, and I guess the confidence, and also around the health aspect as well. So APT has certainly been very, very cautious. We're certainly a very conservative company. So we've certainly taken on the advice of the CLEAR organisation about ensuring that your holiday is as safe as possible. We've also adopted all the health and hygiene practices as well, as recommended by the World Travel and Tourism Council, and on top of that we've also adhering to the IG River Cruise Council as well, which is a body that represents all of the river cruising companies in Europe. So our focus is to make sure you have a wonderful holiday and we make it as safe as possible for you as well. We've also reduced our deposits. They're only $500 per person now to actually secure a cabin. And then our final payment is only 65 days before departure. And if maybe a week before that 65 days is up and you choose that maybe you want to delay it for another year, you're more than welcome to do that. And we will absorb our own charges for that. So it gives you more flexibility. The only thing I'd say is if you booked your airfares, there may be a change fee with the airline, but it certainly gives you more flexibility, and you can also change to another destination. So certainly making it as easy as possible. Our beautiful fleet, very, very popular, and it's certainly been well awarded. And we're thrilled to have the fantastic critical acclaim as well of the Berlitz Guide. You've actually given us a top 10 spots out of all the river cruise companies in Europe. And it didn't just look at the ship, it also looked at what we offered on board as well as far as our touring. So that was a fantastic accolade for us. whenever you look at life on board, and a lot of people say that your ship's a little bit smaller, there's only 162 guests on board. Do we have as many, I guess, excursions? Do we have as much included as the bigger ships do? And I find that it's just reduced down. You have some fantastic things such as the beautiful top deck area with a lot of entertainment. You have 24-hour tea and coffee. You have your library, your boutique. If you want to go to the salon, that's the only place you'll spend money. So it ends up, if maybe you get back and think, well, I've had the long flight, I want to maybe treat myself to a massage, get over that jet lag, then of course you'll pay additional for that. The wellness centre, wonderful place to relax, and of course reception is open 24 hours a day. New things that we have on board for the Magnificent Europe, which is the Amsterdam to Budapest itinerary, is we've got 2 new wellness coaches. So when you get up in the morning and you're considering the beautiful breakfast that you'll have, you can actually decide to maybe go and do some stretching or some Pilates to start off the day really nicely. And on top of that, they're also organising like trivia events, themed nights, those sort of things. So it really fills up that time when you're on board with all these different things that you can also enjoy as well. Freedom of choice is, as I mentioned before at the very beginning, there's so many options as far as maybe going through on a bicycle. We have complimentary bikes on board. So some of our guests have said, I haven't been on a bike for 5 years or so, and take off down one of those separate cycle paths and follow the Rhine River and have a great excursion. We also have guided excursions as well. We also have the hikes, the relaxation, the culture and the history. So it's really up to you, and I'll give you some examples as we go through the presentation. These signature experiences, once in a lifetime. This is actually in Vienna, and the beautiful city palace. Spectacular night. Even if you're not a lover of classical music, it is wonderful to attend. And we have an opera singer, the beautiful classical orchestra really playing a lot of Mozart and Strauss classics, and then also the Mozart's Boys Choir also attend. So it's a beautiful night. The palace itself is quite spectacular. It's 300 years old. And they did recently renovate it, and it took 5 years to renovate. So just even being in this beautiful building and having this wonderful experience, you do feel like you're going back in time. Another excursion that we include as well, which is nice to change up the mode of travel, is actually the Grand Empress steam train. So that's actually where you'll enjoy a 3-course meal and go out into the countryside of Hungary, which is absolutely stunning, beautiful rolling hills, and something new to experience. I will warn you, forget the diets. It's there's a lot of beautiful food in Europe, and of course the wines as well. And we make sure you have the opportunity to try it all. So some beautiful regional delicacies that you can enjoy, and also regional wines as well. We also include cocktails on board the cruise, and so maybe even if you want to have a gin and tonic or something, that's certainly included as well. So you'll really enjoy the beautiful food, a lot of choice throughout. And the other thing I should mention as well is the fact that we have open seating. And for our Australian guests, I think we like to be pretty casual and sit where we like to at breakfast, lunch and dinner, and have that flexibility for sure. If you have any dietary requirements, please let your consultant know at Bicton Travel, and they'll let us know so we can prepare our chefs beforehand before you arrive on board. The question is always tough as far as choosing your suite, and it really depends how much time you spend in the actual suite itself. We have some clients who will say, I'm always out and about, I'm always doing something, so I really don't want to pay for an upgrade where I'm really not going to be utilising it too much. So this is a beautiful suite for clients who are out and about quite a bit. And as you can see, it's a lead-in, it's a twin window. You've got your Apple TV on the left-hand side, and of course that's where you have your free Wi-Fi, and you can email, of course, from there as well. They have a mini bar fridge at the bottom. They have a safe because you don't need your purse or your wallet for 2 weeks, which is a nice feeling as well. And then, of course, under the bed, you can actually pop your luggage as well. So it makes it really very, very efficient as far as space. Where the photographer would be standing, that's where the private ensuite is, and heaps of covered space. So very, very comfortable, can be double or twin configuration. So it's a very comfortable place to lay your head, that's for sure. These are our most popular cabins. So we certainly have the panoramic balcony, which is exactly the same size as the lead-in cabin. It just looks so much bigger because it's got that large sliding window. So you don't actually step out. That is just a balcony there, but we basically maximize the space, especially if you're cruising maybe in April or October, November, December in Europe. You may not have the best weather, so you may not be stepping out too much on a balcony. So I find that that design works really well. And on the right, you've actually got a little bit larger, the twin balcony suites. They go from 210 to 235 square feet in size, whereas on the left, it's 170 square feet. And you actually do have your step-out balcony as well as your conservatory area on the right-hand side. So we make it difficult to choose. And then also the royal and the owner's suites. I should mention with the previous slide, which is a twin balcony suites, and all the way up through to the royal and the owner's suites up to 350 square feet in size. We actually have a fantastic offer, which is fly business class to Europe for $2,995 per person, including taxes. So if you're looking at those suites, it could be a really good option to consider as well. There's our beautiful ship cruising, and that's really every day you'll wake up to this sort of scenery, and every day we'll have shore excursion. There's no day at sea. There's always something to do, and as you can see, all those dots are basically your days, excursions, and free time as well, because some people want to shop more, visit more, maybe eat more. There's a lot of choices there, so you certainly have that flexibility and that free time to really enjoy it as well. When you get to Linz, you actually have the choice there of going to Salzburg or Český Krumlov. So that is a tough decision, but I'll show you some of the information and maybe make it a little bit easier. Our freedom of choice, this is a couple of examples of those. So when we actually arrive into Amsterdam, Zaanstad is a great little spot to visit, very popular for the windmills, and a nice little country drive to arrive there as well. I really like the canal cruise because it really did orientate myself with Amsterdam, and when we had our free time, we really understood where we were. And of course, for the garden lovers, Keukenhof Gardens is spectacular to see them, especially when the tulips are in full bloom as well. And that is one of the prettiest rivers in all of Europe, the Rhine River, and that is really what sort of vistas that you'll have. And as you can see, the people on the top deck, they're really enjoying it. So often we'll have people sit up there for a couple of hours, enjoy maybe reading the paper from Australia. We actually have some printouts on our reception desk of Australia Today. So we always get the news from home, all of what's happening, and so you can keep in touch if you choose to, and then maybe take a coffee and a croissant upstairs and just enjoy that beautiful visions of Europe. One of the highlights, again, as I mentioned, is going to Andernach, and that is where we have a private reception and a beautiful musical reception there in Princess Heidi's private home. Some of the towns, and this is, I think, the big difference between, I think, big ship cruising and river cruising, is we go not only to the big towns, but also these charming little villages as well. So places like Gothenburg, absolutely beautiful. Lovely to wander through. We were there, and I think it was just about to snow. It was that cool, and we wandered down that little street on the right hand side, and there was all these shops selling snaps, and so we all had some peach snaps, brandy snaps, all these different things to try and keep warm, of course, and enjoy the hospitality as well. But beautiful spot, those beautiful cobblestone streets. You really feel like you're in a fairy tale. So it's beautiful to visit those smaller towns and really have some great conversations with the locals as well, because it's not as busy as the big cities. Local farm visits are really good for the agricultural background as well. And then, of course, beautiful residential palace. A lot to see. Bamberg, very popular, especially if you're a beer lover. There are about 9 breweries in Bamberg, which really focus on that smoky beer that they're very popular for. And on top of that, in the region that Bamberg's located, there are about 300 breweries. There's very popular, the Kranskis. They have sausage kitchen quite often along the rivers, so you're often a walk along and just want to try one of those Kranskis, even though you're very full from the ship's beautiful kitchens as well. So very popular. That's the town hall that you see there pictured as well on the bridge. The story is the locals wanted to have a town hall, and the ruler of the town wouldn't allow the land, and so they basically were quite opportunistic and said, we'll build our own, and they popped that there, and it's remained there ever since. So it's quite an interesting story. We've also got Chesky Kromov, as I mentioned as well. Tough decision there to decide between this beautiful medieval village or the Sound of Music. And if you're a Sound of Music fan, you'll probably go the Salzburg Sound of Music tour. And I know that Travel Guides made that quite famous on Australian TV. We actually were lucky enough to take them there a couple of years ago, and they had an absolute blast. And of course, if you want to stay on board, of course, and relax, then you're more than welcome. Vienna is another spectacular, as I was talking about big cities, absolutely spectacular European city, very much the centre of culture in Europe, and wonderful to visit. And of course, the home of Schönbrunn Palace, which is spectacular to visit, absolutely beautiful. It's quite famous for Mozart actually performing there when he was about 6 years old for the Empress, and he performed with his older sister. But it's absolutely a huge palace. It's 1,441 rooms and a massive gardens as well. So really lovely to see. Bratislava, of course, the capital of Slovenia, really interesting place to visit. And of course, we have bike rides as well, so a little bit more active there. So a lot of choices when you get into Vienna. Sadly, after 2 weeks, we've actually finished our river cruise. This is on the Amsterdam to Budapest, but a lot of our guests really like to stay on a little bit further and really enjoy Budapest. Beautiful city, as you can see, Buda and Pest divided by the beautiful river, and you can see the House of Parliament there. And yeah, it's very, very beautiful city, especially when it's lit up in the evening. We actually do a fantastic twilight cruise on the ship, and that's a lovely way to end your journey. We offer a lot of city stays because we know that our clients have come a long way to get to Europe. So we certainly have a city stay in Paris. It also does include sightseeing and transfers as well, and also Prague. So certainly consider those when you're looking at your European adventure, and make sure you get the very best of it. If you're looking for a shorter itinerary than the 15 days, then we certainly can cut that itinerary in half. And so we've got Amsterdam to Nuremberg, which you can see pictured there, and you can fly easily out of Munich. And then we've also got Nuremberg to Budapest. So another option for you as well if you want to do something a little bit different. If you're looking at our sister brand, we also have beautiful Travel Marvel, less included, about 20 to 25% less expensive, but beautiful new ships there available as well. So certainly a lot to choose from. I'm just very appreciative of your time, and for Bicton and our specialist at Fantastic Bicton Travel. They are really doing our products so well. And if you have any questions about our brand or what we include, please do feel free to make that appointment and discuss your opportunities in Europe or wherever you choose to go in the world. Of course, we certainly have a lot to offer, and we're hoping that when these bans are listed and the borders open up, that our clients will continue to travel and continue to live the dream. But thank you so much, Barry, for inviting us.
No problem. Thank you, Joe. Beautiful presentation as always. And of course, we have to mention that Carol Smithers, the owner of Bicton Travel, is the godmother of one of the beautiful Amma ships, Amma Stella. So if anybody is interested in cruising on Bicton Travel's very own ship, then you just need to ask for the godmother's vessel, the Amma Stella, and we can certainly take care of that for you.
Beautiful
Joe,
ship too.
it is, yeah. Joe, always a pleasure. But before I let you go, I've got one very, very important question. If the borders were lifted tomorrow and you could travel anywhere in the world on any river, where would it be and why?
Boy, it's a tough one because there's so many beautiful choices. I think because I've done the Amsterdam to Budapest so many times, which I'm very lucky to do. So I'd probably go to somewhere I've only been to once, which was the Douro. And I still remember sitting in Lisbon and having sparkling sangria and the beautiful fish pie and great company. And it was one of those sort of very special moments in travel where you totally remember where you were and thought, what a beautiful city, and how lucky we were to have seen the beautiful Douro Valley. So I'd probably go to somewhere I haven't been a lot to and continue on there, and then maybe go off to Barcelona.
Oh, perfect. Sounds good. Excellent. Thanks again, Joe. Really appreciate your time, and we'll see you back in our office very, very soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Barry.